The TSA, or Transportation Security Administration, is an organization created in response to the September 11th attacks on America and the rising threat of terrorism throughout our world. Once the TSA was formed, the world of transportation, specifically air travel, became a safer environment for travelers, which also meant a safer world for everyday citizens by keeping planes in the sky and out of buildings. Even non-travelers are able to feel this added sense of security. The TSA website states that the TSA was created to strengthen the security of the nation's transportation systems. The TSA uses a risk-based strategy and works closely with transportation, law enforcement, and intelligence communities to set the standard for excellence in transportation security. With the Transportation Security Administration, shortened TSA, is a counterterrorism governmental agency charged with protecting the nation's transportation systems to ensure freedom of commerce. I feel their methods are justified due to the amount of confiscations of dangerous items and the current state of the world jeopardized with acts of terror. Alright, Julian, can you tell us some more about the security measures of the TSA?
Well, I think they've proven themselves very reliable. In 2014 alone, they've confiscated more than 2,000 guns, as well as flash and smoke grenades, knives, drugs, and stun guns. They even found an 8-inch knife in an enchilada.
Wow, that's amazing. To clarify, it is true that the vast majority of passengers questioned about these incidents indicate that they forgot that their firearm was even in their bag. Now, obviously, this does not make having the item acceptable, and therefore the TSA must still go through the same protocols of questioning and interrogation with the perpetrator. Whether or not they claim to have forgotten that prohibited item was in their bag, they still must go through these measures. A TSA spokeswoman even mentioned that the TSA takes the discovery of firearms and other prohibited items seriously and urges all passengers to check the contents of their bags before leaving home to ensure that they're not bringing any prohibited items to the airport, including firearms, firearm parts, and ammunition. Eli, what else can you tell us about this?
Well, according to these numbers and figures, it is quite clear that the TSA is doing a fine job at keeping prohibited items from passing security checkpoints. Thus, the power that they hold is justified because they, without these strict measures of prohibited items, would be passing security on a daily basis. The measures and power that the TSA has are important. These measures keep the citizens of the United States and other countries safer every day and help in the elimination of frequent terroristic threats against the United States and the rest of the world.
It has been said that everyone has the right to their own opinion, but there are some unique situations where some people's opinion is wrong. This is because anyone who thinks that the TSA is unconstitutional, ineffective, or an invasion of their privacy is wrong, and they need to have a serious overhaul of their beliefs. Threats that frequently made against the United States and other foreign countries and Western civilization shows that they are under a constant threat of attack. Without the TSA, America would likely have 9/11 style attacks on a monthly, if not weekly basis. The thought that the terrorist organizations are done using commercial air travel of a weapon may be true, but this is only because of the TSA. The TSA was created in response to 9/11 to prevent more terrorist attacks, and safeguard that is the TSA prevents this. If you remove the TSA, terrorist groups will be right back to planning the next style via aircraft. Victoria Cavalier of the New York Daily News found that travelers might love to complain about the TSA, but most Americans actually think that the agency is doing a good job keeping airports safe. Additionally, the poll also found that people who do fly actually have a better opinion of the TSA than people who rarely or never partake in airplane travel. Furthermore, a recent Gallup poll found that 54% of those surveyed think the Transportation Security Administration is doing a good or excellent job, with the other 30% saying that the TSA is only doing a fair job. So Julian, what does this Gallup poll tell us?
What this says is that the majority of complaints are coming from people that don't fly very much, if at all. This means people are just complaining to complain. Finally, the information also says that travelers who are pleased with the TSA performance just are not heard. This is similar to many people who only review experiences at a restaurant or hotel if it was negative. The TSA is a highly important part of keeping America and its citizens safe. The administration's goal is only to protect, not to violate or to offend. The TSA is not only constitutional, it is also an important piece of the puzzle that is keeping the United States and the world a safer place for us all.
Thank you, Julian. The TSA works hard to make traveling and security as stress-free and quick as possible. With technology becoming more advanced and more people traveling, the TSA has started introducing new programs that allow low-risk flyers to zip right through airport security. This is leading to many exciting changes for travelers. The most welcome change to the checkpoint: no longer is everyone from toddlers to wheelchair-bound octogenarians treated like a terrorist. The TSA has implemented two big changes, the first being expedited wrist-based security. This is now available to children under 12, seniors, 75 and older, and members of the armed services and other low-risk flyers. The second change is a new program called TSA PreCheck. So far, the administration has enrolled more than 700,000 travelers who can go through special lanes where they do not have to remove shoes, belts, light jackets, or laptops. As a result of these and other steps, complaints are down more than 25% and wait times have been reduced. Although, despite the progress Pistol has made, there's still plenty of room for improvement. In particular, it's time to revisit the bans on liquids, gels, aerosols, creams, and pastes exceeding 3.4 ounces. Changes.
Upon implementation, these changes will allow traveling to be even more safer because the TSA officials will be able to focus on the high-risk flyers, thus making the war on terror a much easier process to eliminate. This will also have a positive effect on flyers because they will feel more like valued customers than criminals.
Thank you, Eli. Some people, however, have an even more harsh opinion. One opinion is that in an era of locked cockpit doors, which make hijackings very unlikely, it's time to abolish the TSA and what they call its all-for-show screening. Security would be left up to intelligence agencies and private companies whose failures enabled the 9/11 attacks. That would make flying more convenient, but it doesn't reflect the still dangerous real world in which Islamic terrorists remain fixed on blowing up jetliners. As long as that remains the threat, the TSA will have an important role to play, one that's more than just a security theater. Opponents to the TSA believe that the administration is merely a security theater designed to make gullible people feel safe and secure. Some opposers go as far to say that the annoyance that is the TSA makes people upset enough to drive to their destination rather than flying, thus putting travelers in greater danger than if they were to fly. Other anti-TSA groups say that the TSA is an unnecessary expense that is simply a waste of governmental financial resources. Some TSA challengers say that because of the highly secure cockpit doors, we do not need the TSA. USA Today's Art Cardin says that what we have done is not enough. Changes to the Transportation Security Administration rules have made it easier for flyers to get through airport security. Even with these improvements, the TSA should be abolished. Cardin also said that there is a lot of ways terrorists could hurt us without attacking a plane or attacking an airport. The definition of ignorance is a lack of knowledge or information. And clearly Mr. Cardin has an extreme case of ignorance when it comes to issues regarding the TSA. To elaborate, the TSA has made a vast array of changes that, of course, Mr. Cardin is not happy with. Mr. Cardin then proceeds to tell the reader that our citizens can get hurt in other ways than via aircraft. That is true, but remember, we are talking about the Transportation Security Administration, the agency in charge of keeping transportation secure, not the World Security Administration. So therefore, Cardin is again wrong. In the end, the TSA is here to keep the United States and the world safe from terrorism via transportation systems. Anyone who is against the TSA either has a flawed view or does not entirely understand the purpose and goal of the administration. With the Transportation Security Administration, shortened TSA, as a counterterrorism governmental agency charged with protecting our nation's transportation systems to ensure freedom of commerce, I feel that their methods are justified due to the amount of confiscations of dangerous items in the current state of a world jeopardized with acts of terrorism. While the process of going through airport security may not be pleasant, the thought to keep in mind is that the TSA is an important security method that has prevented several attempts at attack and thousands of items that are potentially dangerous from boarding planes, and thus keeping the citizens of the United States and abroad in a much safer travel environment. In conclusion, many Americans can agree that it is that the TSA does everything it can to make flying hassle-free, but it should not feel that it has to sacrifice our safety in order to do so. I, for one, feel happy each time I have to take off my shoes at the airport because I know that I will be safer because of it. Finally, when it comes to airport security, Americans must always remember why it is in place, and it is to protect the citizens of the United States, not to invade travelers' privacy, but to protect from the ongoing threat of terrorism against the citizens of the United States. Thank you for your time.